Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Naya, thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So I came across videos of how Asians and Black people are talking about the anti-blackness that runs in Asian community. It is nothing new. I have been talking about Black history for a while, and all I can tell you is that it looks like a pattern already. And one thing I know about pattern is that when some people see something as a pattern, it becomes like a norm. How the same people that allow them in Black community to buy and sell and all that live among them, how the same people treat them. You know, one thing I cringed at was how these people behaved last election to this very moment. I call them corny because, sincerely speaking, they are very corny, but that is who they are, right? I'll leave that at that. One thing I am going to say is that I know my people. The day my people would deal with some people mercilessly, that day you will also hear the story. But I know already some people do not shop at their stores anymore, because anybody that you are going to shop with, right? And the person will continue to follow you around. Trust me, that person does not deserve my money. And I said what I said. Let's get into this video.
Majority of the Asian business community is extremely exploitative and racist towards Black people. Not only do they come and build their businesses in the Black communities, they mistreat the Black customers who shop there. So let's clear some things up. The only reason that Asian businesses are able to thrive in Black communities is because Black people were oppressed. Every single time Black people went and built up businesses, this government shut them down, burned them down. Have you ever heard of Black Wall Street? Everything prior to integration in Black communities was Black owned. Asian people did not own Black hair care products. Black hair care products in the 60s and the 70s were Black owned. Have you ever heard of Madam C.J. Walker? Asians did not invent weaves and wigs and Black hair care products. All you did was exploit it. The audacity of you to tell Black people to stop using an iPhone. You cannot create an iPhone in China. You need natural resources in Africa to be able to produce an iPhone. And stop telling Black people to get off of TikTok. Without us, this app would be nothing. Stay tuned for part 2. Majority of the Asian business community is extremely exploitative and racist towards Black people.
Okay, let's address this. My initial reaction to this was one of defensiveness and anger, and I'm sure many of you guys felt the same. But we should not disregard some very valid points that this creator makes. We do have a problem with anti-blackness and colorism within our community. We see that with the discord between ethnic groups within our own community, and that translates out to how some of us treat people with darker skin outside of our community as well. Obviously, it's not all of us because we're not a racial monolith, but I have seen it, and I know you have seen it too. I think we tend to tense up when we hear other people calling out our community for racial prejudice. It's natural to feel defensive because the majority of us are not actively trying to hurt other people. But I think we have to understand that as human beings, we all have some sort of racial prejudice towards others. We're born into a racist society. We have had racist stereotypes hammered into us since birth. But we really need to make a good effort to listen, because if we don't listen, we can't be better for our own community and we can't be better allies. I have more to say in part 2.
Let's have the conversation that people love to sidestep, because anti-blackness does not just come from white folks, and it for sure did not just appear out of nowhere. And if we're serious about solidarity, we have to trace where it actually started. Now, first thing, this is not about all Asian communities. That's lazy, and I am not lazy. But when we talk about patterns, we're talking about systems. And the system made sure that anti-blackness wasn't just exported, it was globalized. See, when European powers colonized Asia, they didn't just take the land, they also imported hierarchy. They pushed the idea that lighter skin meant civility, wealth, purity, and darker skin was poverty, backwardness, and danger. And that colonial script seeped deep, from India to the Philippines, all the way to Japan. Skin tone became the ladder, and whiteness was always at the top. If we fast forward to Asian immigration in the US, you arrive in a country that's already built on anti-blackness, already criminalizing Black life. And what do politicians do? They dangle a deal. If you distance yourself from Black people, we'll give you a seat closer to whiteness. And that's where the model minority myth comes in. It was never a compliment, it was always a weapon. The government used it in the 1960s to say, hey, look at these Asian immigrants. They work hard, they follow the rules. Why can't Black folks do the same? And that's when it turns survival into separation. And here's the ugly truth. Some communities actually leaned into it, right? Because if your family's safety, your visa, your livelihood depends on being seen as the good immigrant, you'll play the role, even if it means stepping on Black people to do it. But don't get it twisted, this was not organic hate. It was policy. It was propaganda. And it worked because it kept us divided while white supremacy stayed in power. So when we talk about Asian anti-Blackness today, whether it shows up in colorism, anti-Black policing in Asian-owned shops, or even silence around Black death, we've got to understand that it didn't just fall from the sky. It was planted by colonizers, by governments, by systems that profit when we fight each other and not them. And until we name that history, we are not building solidarity. We're just repeating the cycle. And I, for one, refuse to keep the cycle quiet.
Thank you to this creator for speaking on this, and dear Asian Americans, we need to be talking about anti-Blackness within our community. Hi, my name is Dr. Yi, I'm a psychology professor, and in my research, I have found that anti-Blackness is pervasive among Asian Americans, especially when they internalize the model minority myth. When Asian Americans adopt this belief that their racial group is superior to other racial groups because they have stronger cultural values in hard work and success, it's correlated to greater explicitly negative attitudes towards Black Americans. And echoing what this creator shared, this pitting of minorities against one another, this narrative that Asian Americans just pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and have the right cultural values and hard work to succeed. That narrative has been really internalized within our community and has hindered solidarity to promote greater racial justice for us all. And in my other research, I've done in-depth interviews with Asian Americans to really explore how the model minority myth shapes these beliefs, and particularly serves as a barrier to engaging in activism. So dear Asian Americans, let's break this cycle of silence about anti-Blackness within our community. We can use what privilege we have to engage in protests and rallies, but also in smaller spaces like speaking up in your family when there's an anti-Black comment made. Let's hold ourselves accountable to the ways that we're perpetuating systems of oppression, because nobody's free until everybody's free. Follow for more Asian American psych from a professor.
As a child of East Africa, I've long maintained that Asian communities have a harder time admitting to their anti-Blackness than white communities do. I hate using the word the Middle East, so I'm going to just show this map of Asia. And when I say Asia, I mean everywhere from West Asia to East Asia. It's this entire landmass over here. And I'm also including North Africa in this as well. That said, everyone knows where North Africa is, but not everybody can conceptualize where Southwest Asia is. Southwest Asia is this part of the world right here. But the term the Middle East is colonial, which is why I don't like to use it. Anyway, I've known that we don't get far in these conversations because a lot of these communities have their own marginalizations, of course. So being told that they hold a bias against another group of people don't want to hear that. That said, the biases are deeply, deeply ingrained in their societies. And they've done less to address those biases than has been done in European societies. Not because European societies are better or less racist, no. But because everybody looks at white racism and it's like, bad. But everybody looks at Asian anti-Blackness and it's like, well, There's no consensus that it's a problem, even when it is. East African Indians are now a recognized tribe in Kenya, but guess what? There are places in Kenya that you cannot rent from because it's exclusively for East African Indians. They've created their own segregated spaces that keep out Black people. When Gandhi was in South Africa talking about the evils of white European racism, he only meant towards Indian people. He found it completely acceptable that the white colonizers were dominating Black Africans. There is a problem within a lot of Asian communities of anti-Blackness. It's a horrible problem and it needs to be rooted out with a sense of urgency. I need y'all to take that seriously because racism and anti-Blackness it's an existential threat to our ability to escape capitalism, to escape oppression. But y'all are so committed to it that you refuse to see that it's actually stopping us from progressing. Fix it. Lastly, I have a private online community called the Fairy Dust Pantry where I talk about things a bit more freely. I'm going to be posting a lot more of my thoughts on this because I have a lot of reflections all the way from my childhood to this current state that we're in. But a lot of y'all don't deserve to hear any of my thoughts about this based on how you attack me in the comments. So I'm going to go to my safe space. Anybody who wants to join me there can join me at the link in my bio at the Fairy Dust Pantry. Okay, bye.
When I said anti-blackness was rife within the South Asian communities, that was an objective truth. It's not a debate. If anything, the comments under my last post prove that. I'm really confused as to what people are not understanding about my last video. So this is a direct question to the South Asian Desi viewers of my last video. Do you deny that anti-blackness exists within our cultures? Do you deny that it's a huge problem within our community? I'm really confused as to how every single person missed the point. So let's go back to basics and address the whole "it wasn't about race, stop bringing race into it." Our actions and reactions don't exist in a vacuum. Context always matters. And for that matter, racism doesn't always have to be overt and explicit. It can be subconscious. You don't always need someone to directly use a slur at you to know that they were being racist. In my video, I was highlighting the reactions that I've seen from the South Asian community and how I personally view it as evidence of their prejudice and anti-blackness. The lack of empathy for Black women, the dehumanization of Black women in our cultures and society, present systemically within our country, in our institutions, is not simply going to go away because someone wasn't overt with their racism, or because you as an individual thought that race doesn't matter in this particular case, or because you feel like people are bringing race into it. People harbor these prejudices, this bigotry, this anti-blackness, and it guides their way of life. It guides their actions and their reactions. So whether or not someone holds their hand up and explicitly refers to race, it doesn't mean that the racial context doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the actions or reactions weren't racialized in nature. This was a very specific case of misogynoir, and I would encourage people to look into what that actually means. That intersectionality is really important to understanding why people are so upset at what has gone on. And finally, just stop denying the experiences of Black people. You've seen huge parts of the community react to this in a very negative way, and instead of denying their experiences, I think it's just important to hear them out and listen to what they have to say.
This is all I got from this video. There is something that I have said before and I will never stop saying it. I do not go where I am not wanted anymore. If I find out that you do not want me or you do not treat me nice, I do not continue being your friend. And I have actually cut off so many people without even telling them why I cut them off. I just do not want to hear from you. I do not want to talk to you. Sometimes it's even okay not to explain yourself. Let them go wallow in their ignorance, or especially when you've been explaining yourself for so long and then it becomes a pattern, because there is how you keep talking to people. It becomes a pattern. Then you might actually be the nagging person. Yes, you might actually be the nagging person in this situation. So I know where I go. I know where I don't go. If you cannot respect me, if you don't regard me, trust me. If you cannot respect me, if you cannot regard me, trust me, I don't know how to handle that at this point in time. And what I am going to say is that these people have been doing this for so long. These people have been doing this for so long. This is their pattern. This is their modus operandi. This is how they've been operating. This is how they've been doing for so long. This is their life. This is how they treat people that look like me. And one thing I am going to say is that you cannot treat me like that anymore. I call them corny people because they've been corny all their lives. They've been corny all their lives. Let me tell you this. These people are the people that they grew off Black platforms. They grew off Black community. Their life is Black community. But the same people that give them everything, they will not regard you. The anti-Blackness will still run very deep in their system. You know what? I am done with anybody that treats me like I am not part of human being or something. Black people have complained, have talked, have said about how they are being treated in in Asian stores and all that. And this has actually been a pattern that Black people allowed. Take back your money. If Black people could stop Target and other stores from selling, if Black people could stop other people from selling, what else? What else? Asian community, I will do the work. When I say I will do the work, I will do the work. But I am going to leave it at that. They have been a pain in the butt for a long time. But I know my people. I know what they can do and what they cannot do, but I will leave it at this. Bye for now.